Many people would consider either Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, or Sonic 06 to be the start of Sonic's Dark Age, in which after those said games began a trend of consistent bad Sonic games, which I personally disagree with. Could it be the fact that I'm a 2000s kid?
Maybe. Maybe.
While Sonic did have some infamous games during the mid-2000s, we were at the same time sprinkled with some goodies in between like Sonic Rush, Sonic Riders, and Sonic Unleashed just to name a few. Bad or good, we were constantly getting something new from the franchise that had passion put behind it, whether it be the game, story, or whatever project they were working on at the time. Something I think the 2010s era, or the meta era as it's dubbed, lacks. Personally, I think the meta era was truly the darkest age for Sonic. It seemed like after the release of Sonic Generations, Sonic as a whole just didn't seem to be that interesting anymore. Games like Sonic Free Riders, Sonic Lost World, Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, and Sonic Forces lacked the things I liked about Sonic compared to the years prior. Engaging stories and characters, fun games, and passion for the franchise as a whole seemed to be gone. Not to mention that we didn't get as much Sonic content as we did in the previous decades. The only extra content I can recall enjoying were Sonic Boom the cartoon and Sonic Mania, but that was really it. Everything else seemed uninteresting. At first I just assumed that I was growing out of Sonic, but then I went back in time to revisit the older games and I still felt that excitement of experiencing a Sonic game. The issue with the meta era of Sonic games is that it fails at delivering that excitement of experiencing a new Sonic game, or whatever came out during that time. Everything about the franchise felt too safe, bland, or just straight up ridiculous for me to keep up with. Which I understand why they did it, as they needed to get the Sonic franchise back on its feet, but still. Sometime around Generations is where I checked out on being a Sonic fan. I would check in once in a while just to see what he was up to, and that was kind of it. I didn't bother getting the games or anything of the sort, except for Sonic Mania anyways. But then some years went by and rumors went around that a realistic Sonic movie was coming out. I was a bit skeptical and kept my eye on updates and such.
Gotta go fast.
And then the trailer came out. At this point, I didn't even manage to laugh or be angry. Instead, I just felt bad for the franchise. Sonic having mid-tier games is one thing, but the shitty design on the big screen was just another level of just yikes. This is where I think Sonic was at his absolute lowest. Lower than Sonic 06 in my opinion. Any mention of this character during this time was only dealt with ridicule. It seemed like there was no more hope for the blue blur. But then, there was a shocking turn of events. During this time, it seemed like the dark clouds reigning over the Sonic franchise seemed to be finally fading away. Sonic got a redesign, which made me hope that people would finally check out the movie. It managed to get positive reviews and land a sequel that was better than the first movie. Sonic Frontiers finally gets announced, which made a lot of people worried at first with the first few trailers, but then it turned out to be a really good game. It seemed that Sonic was no longer in the Dark Ages, and instead heading into a renaissance. He has some ways to go, as there have been a few hiccups here and there, but for now, nothing seems worse than what we got in the meta era.